Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's Friday, May 12th, 2017. The big news in the sports world this morning, the San Antonio Spurs traveling to their Texas neighbor Houston and blowing them out on their home court to close out the semifinals of the Western Conference playoffs. If you don't follow my blog, I wrote this post yesterday before the game, and I said why Kawhi Leonard being out was probably a betting trap, and it looked very good for the Spurs to win the game regardless. Because remember, these games are all scripted. This is all theater, and having Kawhi Leonard, the star player out of the Spurs, that was a sign, to gamblers to bet on the Rockets. That's the trick. That's how Vegas steals your money in these scripted sports leagues. But anyway, on my blog, before the game was played yesterday, posted this 10 minutes before the game. But even if you follow my work, you should already know in the script. I've already taught you so much about the Spurs. I just taught again in this post yesterday what I've talked about for the last 3 years about this team. But I just want you guys to notice, I got all the numbers on the screen that happened in the game, including the 39-point blowout by the Spurs. And I'll tell you what was extra interesting about them winning by 39. But real quick before we get into this, I just want to make a point. I told everyone I was stepping away to write the book. I'd only come back if there was a huge news story. The firing of Comey by Trump, I came back to make a video. As soon as I made that video, I got a million requests to cover things I'd already covered on my blog. So I've spammed out all of these videos in the last 48 hours. And even though I've had to rush them all, honestly, the content in this group of about 20 videos that I've put out in the last 48 hours, that content right there, if you take the time to watch all of those videos, you're going to learn more from those videos than you've probably learned in your entire life from everything else combined. Your school education, what you see on TV and the news. I don't mean to sound so arrogant. I'm just telling you. I'm dropping the knowledge that's taken me my whole life to assemble, and I don't know how many more people in this world have worked harder than I have for knowledge in my lifetime. So anyway, I still have a lot to learn, and this isn't everything there is to know, but I'm telling you, there's so much here in just these last 20 videos. The point I want to make, though, is out of all of these things that I've covered that are so important, on my blog in the last 48 hours, the thing that I wrote about that got the most traffic by a lot, and this is sad, that my work on Comey and Trump and the puppet show that is our federal government, this is what people need to know about. How rigged elections are from France to the U.S. and everyone else. This is what people need to know about. All of these videos are important. The FDA stuff, the murder by numbers, it's all important. But out of all of the information I put out in the last 48 hours, the thing that has the most traffic is this. The Spurs and Rockets game. You see, this is why I talk about sports, though, because I just realized the mind's eye of the masses is on sports. And nobody could say I do it for money. There's no ads on my channel. Here's a true stat about my blog. I can just show you this real quick. My blog, right now, it averages about 10,000 views a day, a little less than 10,000 some days, but it's always right around 10,000. And I'll show you this later in the year when football season rolls around. Yesterday, because of basketball, it jumped up the most. Anyway, in football season, my blog views are over 20,000 every day. Some days I got 50,000 views. NFL season, it brings the traffic. So I cover sports rigging because I know it's like the gateway to a lot of people's minds to wake them up about this knowledge. A lot of people found my work through sports. Now they watch to cover the other things or see the other things I'm covering. But I know so many people only follow me for the sports. They don't even care about anything else. And you know why that is? It's because sports, entertainment, money. I'm sure I have a lot of gamblers that follow me. All of you who gamble, I know you're trying to get ahead, but understand, the money, it's all part of the game. It's all part of the illusion. It's all part of how they have us enslaved. So if you're living for knowledge just to get money, you're just contributing to the problem. So anyway, let's get back to this post. Let's do this. Let's talk about the way the NBA Finals were scripted. Got to find the post again because I showed you my blog views. Hold on here. All right, so this is where we want to start. Let's just start with the basics, what I wrote before the game. Remember, David Stern, the name Stern in German means star. David Stern took over the NBA in 1984. He said the NBA wasn't about basketball, it was about building stars. So last night, the big news before the game, Spurs at Rockets for Game 6. We're going to talk about how Saturn's the 6th planet from the sun, and how the Spurs have a lot to do with Saturn, and how last night it made a lot of sense for the Spurs to close out the Rockets 4-2, which is what I was looking at. Anyhow, David Stern said the NBA is a league of stars. Kawhi Leonard equals 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society, like so many things important to Freemasonry, like Kobe Bryant, like Los Angeles Lakers. See my work on Kobe retiring or having his retirement ceremony with the Lakers on a date with 58 numerology. Anyway, Kawhi Leonard, star of the Spurs, he's announced out before Game 6. Suddenly he has an injury, he's out. So bettors in Vegas, they go, oh, the star player's out of the Spurs, the game's in Houston, easy bet tonight. They just put their money on the Rockets with complete confidence. I guarantee you, Vegas cashed out big last night. Because people don't understand. The games are scripted. There is nothing legitimate. There's nothing competitive about any of these pro sports. None of them. None. Zero. No exceptions. They're all scripted, and they're all scripted to the point. Every last one. A lot of these box scores are even determined before the games start. Anyway, Kawhi Leonard. Star player out. Yesterday's date was a date with 33 numerology, super special number to the NBA. Kobe, Jordan, so many other stars. The word Leonard, also a name with 33 gematria, Game 6. This is all part of a ritual in numbers. So here's Kawhi Leonard, born June 29th, 1991, currently 25 years old. Check this out in terms of gematria. Spurs, simple English, alphabetic order sums to 93, just like Saturn, the keeper of time. Remember, the Spurs won by 39, the reflection of this number. San Antonio, home of the Alamo. Alamo also has that gematria of 93. The Alamo was a ritual in time. Go back to my work from the beginning of 2016. I showed how the college football Alamo Bowl was connected to the Oregon standoff, and why the Oregon standoff would last 41 days, likely ending on the 42nd day of the year, which is exactly what happened. Again, showing how sports are scripted from collegiate to pro, and how they're even synced up with our fake news that we get. The whole world through the TV, through the paper is a show. It's a Zionist Jew show. And Zionist Jews practice the gematria, coding the numbers into the words, just like Zionist Jews run the NBA. David Stern, Adam Silver. So anyway, yesterday was May 11th, this major date with a Saturn connection. The name Bob Marley equals 93, Rastafari 93. Bob Marley died on May 11th. Murder by numbers, another topic. The Spurs on 5-11 closing out 4-2 look like a lock because Saturn also has the gematria of 42 like Spurs, like Alamo. This alignment was too perfect. Kawhi Leonard could have been out. LaMarcus Aldridge could have been out. All of their players could have been out. I still would have told you to bet on the Spurs because the games are scripted. That's why the Rockets hardly even took any shots last night. That's why James Harden's throwing the ball out of bounds because this is the way you make the manufactured, pre-scripted blowout. You can't say that James Harden threw the game. You know, so many people are asking me to make a video on how James Harden threw the game. To ask me that question means you don't understand my work. There's no throwing games in pro sports. These people are actors. They're paid just like Hollywood actors. They go into movies like Hollywood actors, commercials. And this is what they do. They're athletic actors performing a script. They are likely all told what the score is to be before the game even starts. And for those of you who can't get your mind around this, I mean, really, do something. Eat different food, sleep more, drink less coffee, smoke more weed. Do something. Sports have never looked real in anyone's lifetime. I saw it as a child growing up in Portland, Oregon, just watching Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan could do whatever he wanted. No fouls against him. You couldn't even breathe on him. He could travel. It's just so obvious. I saw it as a 7-year-old. So I don't know what's wrong with the rest of humanity. But just look at these games. Isaiah Thomas scoring 53 on what would have been his sister's 23rd birthday. We just got to take a little break real quick to again expose that. China Thomas, 53, just like how it happened on what would have been her 23rd birthday, 23-53. She died in Federal Way, Washington, just south of Seattle. That's where I live, Federal Way. They had her funeral in Tacoma, which has gematria 53. The man who did it was a member of the UW Huskies, and he tied the record of Nate Robinson, who was a member of the UW Huskies with the most points scored in the fourth quarter. You know? And check this out. Huskies equals 29. He tied Nate Robinson, the other midget for the UW Huskies who played for the Celtics, scoring 29 in the fourth quarter. Again, from college to pro, it's all a script, and it's so obvious. Still remember the year the Lakers went to the NBA Finals beating the Blazers in Game 7 where the Blazers were up something like 23 points to start the fourth quarter? I still remember that game. The Blazers were just coming down the court, rushing up shots, shooting deep for no reason, stupid turnovers. It's like, oh, well, I guess the Blazers decided they didn't want to go to the NBA Finals this year. It's just like how the Atlanta Falcons decided they didn't want to win the Super Bowl this year, you know? First and 20... or first and 10 at the Patriots 20, about 2 minutes left. All they had to do was run the ball, you know, make the Patriots use their timeouts, kick a field goal. Would have been an 11-point game with less than 2 minutes. Impossible to come back. Instead, what do they do? Drop back for the pass, get sacked, drop back for another pass, holding call. It's 3rd and 33. Oh, people are stupid, man. People are stupid to come here and argue with me, especially when I said the Patriots win the game, and it was all about 25, and then a scripted 25-point comeback. Not to mention, before the season began, a year before it began, I said as favorites in the NFC Championship, Packers and Falcons, and it was all about 44. That was the NFC Championship, and the Falcons won with 44. You know? All right. And just for the record, that's just a small tip of the iceberg for all the things I've called before they've happened. Guaranteed the Cubs would win the World Series in spring training. Said why it would happen in Game 7 on November 2nd. The year before that, I said why the Mets would be in the World Series in spring training. Called Warriors and Cavs way before the NBA Finals happened either year. Called so many Super Bowls, so many college games. It's just called the NCAA tournament this year. The exact championship, North Carolina over Gonzaga. Showed how it was foreshadowed at Madison Square Garden years ago. Matchup between those teams. Anyway, let's get back to it. All of these things are Saturn rituals. Watch the work I just did on the college basketball tournament. I showed how it was on the 93rd day of the year and how North Carolina was all about 93. Dean Smith, Michael Jordan, the death of Jerry Krause. I showed how it was all about these same numbers. It's always Saturn. So anyway, don't forget how huge 42 is to space, Saturn, Houston Rockets. I just did a video on the Houston Rockets player wearing the NASA shirt after the loss to Russell Westbrook, you know. So check this out here. Tim Duncan, who retired last year, he played his last season at age 39. How much the Spurs won with last night. The Spurs just got LaMarcus Aldridge recently from the Blazers. Oregon, the only state with 93 numerology. LaMarcus Aldridge goes from the team in Oregon to the Spurs. Anyway, he's replacing what Tim Duncan was for the team, LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge wears number 12, the reflection of 21. Add those numbers together, 33. Tim Duncan jersey, number 21. Check this out. Saturn also has gematria of 21, like Spurs, like Duncan, like you. And something I should have put up here, the link, if you write out 21, it also sums to 42, as well as 39, you know? We talked about how these numbers connect to Spurs as well. So last night's game, with regards to Saturn being the keeper of time, last night's game was 21 days from the start of the NBA Finals on June 1st. And remember, finals equals 61, like time. The word final, the singular, also sums to 93. The Cavs won with 93 points in Game 7 in Oracle Arena last year. It was on the real King James's birthday. I guaranteed the Cavs were going to come back and win the finals when they were down 3-1. Won a lot of people a lot of money because the odds were huge. I guaranteed they would win it on the real King James's birthday, and the Warriors lost with 89. Again, your sports are scripted, and you have to know the Jewish code of gematria to see it. And, also, you guys, I want to make a point. There's a reason there's slang terms like Jude. There's a reason people say, stop Jewing me. Stop being a Jew. There's a reason. This stuff's not arbitrary. As I've explained, these Jewish Zionists are really into fucking people in the ass. They are perverted. They suck baby dicks after they're circumcised as ritual. Really. They pass around the baby like it's a ball, and they just can't wait to get its bleeding dick in their mouth. True story. Anyway, I've been explaining for years that all these people who go to these games and give them their money to watch, they're paying to get fucked in their ass. And pay attention to how often home teams get screwed over, especially in cities like Cleveland, outside of the Cavaliers. Look at the Browns. Houston last night was the 10th city to lose a deciding game in their home building. This year in the NBA playoffs and deciding games in a certain team city, last night the record became 0-10. Houston was the 10th team to lose in their own city in the NBA playoffs in a deciding game. You see? 0-10 in those moments. That's because they love to rub it in the fans' face, especially when all the Rockets fans, you can bet, were ready to blow out the Spurs last night. They're missing their star player. They have James Harden, who's arguably the MVP this year, and then he doesn't show up. It's because it's all scripted, and these fans don't give a fuck about you. So all of you who go out there and buy a Harden jersey or any of these people's jersey and buy it for your children, and you got your children wearing the names of these asshole sellouts who don't give a fuck about you, if you're worried about my cussing right now, that's exactly what's wrong with this country. Bunch of soft people, stupid people. You'd rather put the name of a sellout on the back of your child than listen to somebody rant about what's really going on in this world. The other thing is, 90% of this country is too stupid to even understand what I'm showing them. Crystal clear evidence. It's because of all the chemicals, because of all the shit people are eating, the program trash they watch. The TV just has your minds thinking about stupid things all day, listening to the stupidest people. Stephen A. Smith, what a cocksucking piece of shit, from that weirdo town of Winston-Salem where all of these sports writers come out of. Look at how many sports writers come out of Winston-Salem. Remember that story when Chris Paul's grandfather dropped dead at 61, and then he scored 61 points in his high school game? This all happened the day after he signed with Wake Forest, right outside of Winston-Salem. Also where Tim Duncan at the Spurs. The Spurs won 61 games this year. This big Saturn ritual 21 days before the start of the finals. So I just made this point also at the end about Saturn, just how important Saturn is. I'm always talking about Saturn. Nike's symbol is a swoosh. It is a ring of Saturn. That's what it actually represents. Nike sums to 39, the reflection of 93. Headquartered in Oregon, the state with 93 numerology. Established on the 45th day of the year. Number having to do with geometry. Anyhow, Spurs, Nike, 39, and what do you know? Hours later, you have the Spurs winning by 39. But first, I just want you to see that at halftime, the score was 61-42. 61-42. LaMarcus Aldridge had a big game. He had 16 points at halftime, the reflection of 61. When you write out 16 as a word, it sums to 33 like the date numerology. He was filling in for Leonard. James Harden at the half had taken 2 shots, their star player. 33 attempts at halftime. You got to love that, right? 33. The Spurs had 50. San Antonio, just show you this, San Antonio has the gematria of 50 as well. When spelled correctly, missing an N there. San Antonio, gematria 50, as well as 58, big number, like Kawhi Leonard's name's 58. They're about to play Golden State, 58. Oakland also 58. But anyway, halftime, it's just all scripted to the point. Every game's this way. You just pay attention, you go, oh my God, okay, I see what it's all about. When you know gematria, when you know the code, what the numbers represent, you just see it. Spurs, Saturn 42, on their way to closing them out 4-2. Then, the ultimate kicker, they win by 39, and the Rockets become the 10th team to get closed out at home. Home teams are 0-10 in that situation in the NBA playoffs. When you write out 10, it sums to 39, like how many points they lost by Spurs, 39. Here's something I keep thinking about. The word trilogy has gematria of 666, just like the NBA Finals, just like basketball game. And we know LeBron James got the big 666 tribute last year, becoming the first player to go to 6 finals since 66. And remember, 666 in the Bible, the 66th book of the Bible, number of the beast, 66. Number of the beast. The verse begins, here is wisdom, 66. The beast rules for 42 months in Revelation. 42 months, 66. Look at the name LeBron, 66. Last year, first player to go to 6 straight finals since 66. The NBA Finals, 666. LeBron James, 66. In Kings, 1 Kings 10:14, it talks about gold and 666. Kings 10:14, 1014, LeBron James 114. Here's what you need to know about 666 and gold. Look up the Bible verse, 1 Kings 10:14. It's about 666 and gold. The only other place in the Bible besides Revelation that 666 is at. Carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Carbon. So many things in this world, including us, made out of carbon. The number of man, 666. In Hermeticism, one of the core attractions was that it supposedly had the knowledge of how to convert lead, made of carbon, into gold. Carbon into gold, 666 into gold, a Bible verse about 666 and gold. LeBron James holding up gold trophies in the NBA Finals. And just so you know, the NBA Finals, to get that 666, you have to use the Sumerian, which is English ordinal times 6. You see? Remember the 69 too, because that's the number of Saturn, which has to do with time. You see? If you write out basketball game in Sumerian, it's also 666, interestingly enough. 39, how many points the Spurs won by. But just so you know, all of these things, they're not arbitrary. LeBron James equals 42. Remember, the beast rules for 42 months. Last year, going to 6 straight finals, he tied the record of Bill Russell. Bill Russell. You know? Beast rules for 42 months. This has been done before. This has been done a million times over. The Zionist Jews who run the show, what they practice is something called Kabbalah, which is the belief that God created the world with language when he merged the letter with the number. This is what gematria is. This is what the Hebrew alphabet is. Part of the belief of Kabbalah is also that the Bible never ended and the prophecy is still ongoing. Just like how the Jewish people, some of them say they're still waiting on the return of the Messiah. I learned recently, even within the Jewish faith, some believe the Messiah already came and the teachings have been hidden. But anyway, the point is Kabbalah. It's all about this. It's the belief that the Bible story is ongoing. This is why they keep coding this stuff and creating these rituals. It's like, they think they're serving God or something with this, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's just all psychopathic. But anyhow, final score, notice 96 attempts for the Spurs, 51 buckets made. Check out the word Freemason, 42, 51, 96. If you take the numbers that divide into 42, they add to 96. The divisors of 42 sum to 96. They close them out 4-2. They take 96 shots on the game. It's all scripted to the point. Big tributes to Freemasonry. And James Harden finished 2 of 11. 211, the 47th prime, foundational number, the first NBA championship in 47. That's likely the tribute. Him going for 2 for 9 from 3 could be arbitrary, but I'll show you something about 29 here as we look at the Spurs and Golden State. Now the Western Conference Finals, which I said I suspected would be the Western Conference Finals. Notice the Spurs come into this with 106 wins. 106 is the huge number with Golden State. Oracle Arena is 106 feet tall. Last year they lost Game 7 in their 106th game. Both Steph Curry and LeBron James were born in Akron, Ohio. 106, the same hospital, same place Nate Thurmond was born, who played for the Warriors and Cavs, who wore the number 42, who died last year after the Cavs won the NBA Finals. Notice Akron, Ohio is also 47, just like Ohio. It's the Cavs' 47th season. Anyway, 106, huge number. Last year, LeBron James won on the real King James's birthday. It was the 106th Father's Day ever. King James has 106 birth numerology. All things you can go back and look at. LeBron James's first son, I can't think of his name right now, but his name in Gematria sums to 66, and he was born 10/6. The word prophecy equals 106. Revelation, the book of prophecy and destruction. Destroy 106. Entertain 106. In this world, the world's being entertained while the manpower is letting it happening, watching rig sports. Really what's going on in America? You couldn't explain it any more clearly. Watching the world be destroyed because the manpower is letting it happen by a bunch of... I can't even say what I want to say. Because they're all obsessed with these sports games. But anyway, 106. I noticed that if Popovich, the coach of the Spurs, were to lose against the Warriors, he would have 106 playoff losses all time. Also interesting, if the Spurs somehow won the NBA Finals this year, just want to show you this. Number of the beast equals 174, which is 666. If Greg Popovich won the NBA Finals, he'd get his 174th playoff win. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. That can be the trick here with these narratives. Sometimes when you get down to the wire, you see how there's major scripting for all teams, and sometimes I really wonder, do they wait until the last second and create multiple narratives for these teams so that if there's too much money in Vegas on a certain team, they have to go the other way? I wonder if that's here, because we see this when it gets down to the wire every time. But look, in the playoffs, these two teams, the Spurs and Golden State, they've each won 5 games against each other. 5-5. Basketball's a game of 5-on-5. If this goes to Game 7, that means they'll have played 17 games against each other. Here we are in 2017. NBA equals 17. Ohio's the 17th state. The Cavs were the 17th team to join the NBA. LeBron James could have a trilogy playing against the Spurs or the Warriors. Either way, he would have a trilogy. Trilogy equals 666. And remember, they're calling LeBron the Godfather. So May 14th, Game 1 for the Western Conference Finals, that's a date with 29 numerology, and right away that took me back to the opening day of the season, October 25th. The Cavs won by 29. The Warriors lost to the Spurs by 29. Ohio has gematria of 29. Ohio. Again, Steph Curry, LeBron James, both born in Akron, Ohio. So, I've been looking at this all year. And to me, this was a clue that it would be all about Ohio, and we'd likely see Part 3 of Warriors and Cavs. That's what I said after the Game 1 of the NBA season. But look, the Spurs are part of that narrative from the beginning. Also this year, Steph Curry turned 29 on Pi Day, March 14th, his birthday, which was the 29th Pi Day ever celebrated. Before the game, I said, watch Steph Curry score 29 points tonight, and he did. 29 points on his 29th birthday on the 29th Pi Day. So, I mean, the Ohio ritual is so rich this year. I gotta say, honestly, if I favor between the Warriors and Spurs, I'm sticking with my original narrative, Cavs-Warriors. But, you know, if you really think the Spurs are going to upset, the possible narrative is here. It's possibly here. We'll see what happens. We'll probably get a big clue after Game 1. So maybe hedge your bets. Watch what happens after Game 1. Make sure there's not anything else I want to say about this real quick. Yeah, I think we covered it all right there. And also, tonight, we have Game 6 between the Celtics and the Wizards. And again, The Wizards right now, if they win, home teams in a closeout situation would become 1-10. 1-10 in Washington, D.C. would be interesting because President's 110. That said, I haven't done enough research. I'm just noting that. The Wizards right now, so far in these NBA playoffs, every single team is lost in this situation the Wizards have been in. I said before the playoffs began that I expect the Western Conference Finals to be Spurs and Warriors, which we have, and I said in the East I expect Celtics and Cavs. If I'm wrong about the Celtics and somehow the Wizards come back and make it in, remember this. The day LeBron James went to the White House to be congratulated for the NBA Finals, that was the same day that Donald Trump went to the White House for the first time after winning the rigged election. Donald Trump had his convention in Cleveland right after the NBA Finals. Remember this? Also, Donald Trump has a hit show about the Wall, and the star player of the Wizards is John Wall. So just appreciate this. Wall sums to 48 like Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump has the gematria 48 like Wall. Cleveland has the gematria 48, also like James, the star player. James also 48. LeBron James got a hit TV show about a wall. Donald Trump ran on building a wall. On the 48th day of the calendar year, which was February 17th, the movie came out, The Great Wall, starring Matt Damon, a movie about a wall on the 48th day of the year. Again, it's all theater, sports, and it's all run by the Zionist Jews under this Kabbalah code, this numerical code. That's why Isaiah Thomas scores 53 on what would have been his sister's 23rd birthday when the Celtics won 53 games this year. 53 is the 16th prime. This is the end of the 2016-17 season. So, I suspect the Celtics will win the series. I don't know if they'll make them go to Game 7 or if the Wizards will get closed out at home tonight. If the Wizards get closed out, it's going to be 0-11 for home teams. When you sum 1 through 11 together, it sums to 66. And we talked about 66 good, didn't we? I don't think I meant to put that Game 6 up there. Just real quick, I'll show you this about Game 6. This is Game 6. It has the gematria of 33, 42 as well. Close it out 42 tonight. 39. Massachusetts has the gematria of 33. Their star player in their history, Bird, who wore number 33. His rival, Magic, 33. Magic's first name was Irvin with an A in it, 33. Wore 33 in college. I'm pretty sure his son is Draymond Green on the Warriors. The Celtics and the Lakers have combined for 33 NBA championships. So much 33 in the history of the NBA. Michael, Kobe, Vincent, Stephen. His name is really Steven, but they call him Stephen. LeBron, James, a million other ones. Patrick. We just saw Patrick Ewing become the head coach of Georgetown 33 years after finishing his college scripted career back there. Something else, truth seeker. All right. When I started this video, I intended to make it 5 minutes, but you know how I am. I like to get carried away and make sure everybody's got the knowledge. So I'll link all the blog posts down below, the calculator, so you can do this yourself. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel. When you subscribe, you can search through my videos. And, a great video to watch if you missed it was this one about the rockets and NASA. This Nick Wright guy. I want to make, since we went this far, I want to make one last point about this Nick Wright guy. He works for Fox Sports, apparently. He made fun of me on my Twitter, said I was crazy, just like USA Today did a couple years back. Show you something about this guy. Nick Wright. I just want to see if you see what I see. Nick Wright. See if we can get a picture of this guy. Very skinny looking man, goofy character. I don't think that's our guy. Nick Wright, Fox Sports. Where's he at? Here he is. Nick Fox. Or what's his name? Nick Wright. This guy, I didn't even know who he was when he made fun of me, but I sought it out to watch some of his stuff on TV. This guy's everything that's wrong with the world. He goes on TV and he says, Man, I don't want to watch good basketball. I want to see LeBron James, the star, with the big dunk. He's promoting the Zionist Jew message about the individual, the star, over the sport, over the legitimacy of the sport. So many of us who play basketball, we can't even watch the NBA. Carry, travel, no call. I can't watch pro basketball. It's watching these guys there's no fundamentals. If you try to emulate these players and carry and, travel all over the court like people do, I play basketball. I know how so many people just want to emulate what they see on TV. I mean, you're just ruining the sport. Anybody can break anyone's ankles when you carry the ball across the court. The NBA is a joke. There's nothing authentic about it. Guys just walking all over, no travel call. Why even have referees? Just let it be like king of the court like we do, out at the gym. Here in Seattle, we play mostly in gyms because it's always raining. Some people, you guys got better weather. But anyway, we're talking about this Nick Wright goon. Clearly Jewish, Clearly Jewish. Here's what I saw when I looked at Nick Wright. I said, man, this guy reminds me of somebody else that doesn't belong in basketball. Do you guys see the resemblance? I bet you these guys are brothers. Cousins. Look at that goon. You want to know why Adam Silver, Jews, jewelry, silver, 85, just like basketball. You see? You see? All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.